Hey there, welcome to NZ Money Karma, where you can find freedom from the daily grind through budgeting, simple living, and adventure. Well, I started 2025 with a degree of frustration. I felt a bit stagnant. My husband and I had been going around in circles for what felt like years. We talked way too much about our goals, and after a while, I guess you just start to feel like you're never going to reach them, right? The frustration finally peaked, and then that's what actually made us take some steps to meet the goals that we had set. And I can tell you one thing right off the bat. I have not felt as content as I do now for more than a decade. When we create goals, there's always this risk that when we get there, then we're going to feel like it's not enough and instantly create a new but loftier goal. Well, I am absolutely delighted to say that hasn't happened to me on this occasion. Last year's lofty goal was to get a holiday home. We call them a batch here in New Zealand. On my wish list, when I look back through my goal list, which I always keep and I file them away so I can look back year on year and see what I was wishing for, I guess, at one point or another. When I look back on that list, what I had on it was off-grid, productive, seaside, cozy, cute, cottagey, good size section, area we like, and under $400,000. I started the year looking in Reefton on the west coast, but mid-year my husband vetoed that and we moved locations, and I am so grateful that we did. I found a cottage and a community that already feels like home after such a short time. I had heaps of other goals. I had things like no new clothes, only things that I knit or sew. I had money goals, I had family goals, and I feel like they all went pretty well. Not everything got nailed, but enough kind of got over the line that I feel like I made good progress. Yeah, so hello 2026. I'm pretty late to the party on that one, and that's because I haven't stopped painting for the last week. My goals for this year are just as big as they were in 2025. The hardest goal we have, I guess it's not just me, it's my husband and I, our hardest goal is a really huge investment goal. And if we can hit that goal, that will mean that we have reached our early retirement number. I'll be 50, my husband will be 55, and in the early retirement world, that's not really considered very young. So it's not like early retirement, but I feel like I am buying back 15 years of my life. My husband will be buying 10 years of his life back. 10 good years, 15 good years where we're healthy and we're able to do a lot of different things. So we're pretty excited. And it's really not the money that we've made. We have never been what people would consider high income earners. Amongst the group of my closest girlfriends, I would earn the least by far. My husband would earn the least by far compared to their husbands. So it's not the money that we make in our professional but average jobs. And what I mean by that is we do have degrees. We actually both have master's degrees, but to be honest, it doesn't actually make any difference for our pay or the kind of jobs we get. That's more like a self-actualization thing that we did. I actually did my master's about 20 years ago, so I was quite young when I did mine. My husband did his when he was around 40. I think he just wanted to catch up with me. No, I don't know. Just wanting to be the best that you can be in the job that you have was really what drove us to do those, but they haven't made any difference at all to our pay or the kind of jobs that we've been able to get. We're not leaders in our field. We have both mainly worked in the public service or for NGOs, occasionally for a private company, but to be honest, the pay there has not been any different really than the public service. So it's absolutely not how much we made, but it was what we've been able to keep. And you might have heard the saying, money can't buy you happiness, but it gets you a better class of misery. And you know what? I completely disagree. You don't have to go all like Scrooge McDuck, but being debt-free, which for the most part requires money, totally sets you free. And with that comes a great deal of happiness. The kind that fills you up, knowing that you can stop work to care for a sick relative or travel to see friends, making choices that are aligned to your values, even when they're not the cheapest. And it's money that is buying back years of our life from our jobs. I really don't think when you lie on your deathbed, anyone thinks, I wish I'd given more time to my job. And it's not to say that we don't like our jobs or we don't get a sense of fulfillment. We get a bit of secondary gain in our jobs. Quite often you can feel quite good by doing the work that we do. So it's not at all that work is unpleasant for us. It's just that really, given a choice of how I spend my time on planet Earth, I really would rather be knitting at home or baking some cakes for my family, spending time with friends. That's an area where I really haven't put as much effort into as I feel like I should. That's something I'm changing for 2026. I'm going to prioritize time with friends because I've been so hyper focused on this other big goal, which I have now realized that it's very easy to let other things slip. Or when someone says, hey, do you want to catch up, just take the easy option, and it's like, that kind of feels like too hard at the moment, so no, I won't, thanks, that kind of thing. So I'm going to really prioritize friendships in 2026. But I digress. Really, what I want to talk about is that how money has in fact made me very happy. And I'm not someone who you would identify as materialistic. No, that's not it at all. But it's those big things that I've just talked about that have, they've just made me happy. Being able to have a holiday home, being able to create a legacy for my family where they have somewhere else to go, having a batch. That's been a really long held dream for me, and to finally get there, feels like I'm at the top of the mountain, to be honest. So to me, having money does buy a little bit of happiness. And I guess when/if we reach that number by the end of the year, it's not a guarantee, it's not an easy thing, but if we do, and I think we will because we are determined and maybe we'll have a little bit of luck on our side, that means if we continue to go to work for a couple of days a week or what have you, it's going to be because it's making us happy, not because we have to. And that holds so much value for me. So how we make our goals is, it's no secret and it's not revolutionary. It's that thing you use at work called SMART goals. So we make a specific goal, we make it measurable, we make it achievable, realistic, and then we time frame it. So we are never just saying like a wish list, like, oh, I wish I had a blah, 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 or I wish I was doing whatever. We make it really specific. So we'll say things like, I want to, so the specific thing might be a kid date. So where we go away and we do something special with each child on our own. So we say that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a date with, whatever child, and we're going to do that by a date. So we're going to do that by March. And we don't say, oh, we're going to go with that child to Europe for the weekend, because that's not achievable or realistic. But we might say, we're going to have a day trip with that child, or we're going to have a night away. That's actually what it is for me. Going to have a night away with each of my children on their own before June. And then I just have to do those things. So then I write down, on a piece of paper and just say, okay, that's my goal. What do I need to do to achieve it? And then I work backwards. So each goal ends up having 4 or 5 steps, attached to it. So, well, I have to make a plan, so my kids don't like camping. So I've got camping is off. I used to do that when they were littler, and now they're like, Mum, we don't like camping. So I can't go for a $20 night away and call that our date. No, that doesn't fly. So it might be like last year, for example, I took an opportunity when I had to go away for work to take one of my children. So we stayed in a hotel, but that was paid for by work. I just had to buy the flights, which were pretty cheap. I had a stipend for food, and that was enough for both of us. I just used my stipend, and it was enough to buy 2 meals, some groceries, etc., etc. So that's one of the ways I achieved that. So we got to stay in a hotel. We actually flew to Wellington. We went to Te Papa. We had dinner out with some friends, and it cost me the equivalent of one cheap flight. So it was kind of like $160, and we got our date. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. And we do that with all our goals. So no matter how small they are, if I say something like, I want to keep in better contact with my dad, like I want to make sure I'm, doing the right thing and being a good daughter, and I go, okay, well, what does that look like? And I go, okay, I'm going to call this many times. I'm going to visit this many times. That's how I'm going to do that, so it's specific, it's measurable, because I can see, did I actually go and do that? It's achievable. I time frame it, so I'm going to, call each week and visit twice a year, for example. So call each week, well, that's time frame. Visit twice a year, once in the middle of the year, once at the end of the year. Great. And yeah, I guess it's pretty realistic, isn't it? And even if I didn't have the money for a visit, I might look at ways that I could make that happen through a work trip or something like that. And I did actually do one of my visits when I was away for work. I actually had more visits than I had intended, because I did end up going back home for various funerals throughout the year. So that's how we make our goals, and that's how we achieve them. And that kind of turns things, instead of being a wish list, it's an actionable goal list. And I think that's really different. And we do that with our kids as well. So they say, yes, I want to, I don't know, my son wants to run a marathon or a half marathon. So it's like, okay, great. That's an awesome goal. So at the moment, that's a wish, like I wish to do that. Once you start putting the steps in place, okay, I'm going to train this many times a week. I'm going to run this many Ks per week. I'm going to, I don't know, read a book about how to train for a marathon and follow the steps, whatever the things might be, then that breaks it down. Then all of a sudden that's an actual goal. Oh, I want to be in this particular marathon or half marathon, rather than just a blanket, yeah, I'd like to do that one day. For me, I do that. I'd like to walk the Te Araroa Trail, but I have not done anything at all smart related to make that happen. That's just a wish. I just chuck that out there and go, yep, I'd love to do that one day. When I hear other people that have done it, talk about it, I think, oh, that sounds so great. But I never say, okay, I'm going to do this thing by this date. And in order to be able to do that, I need to take these steps. Haven't done that. So that's a wish. Me walking the Te Araroa Trail is a wish rather than a goal, because I have done nothing at all to try and achieve it. Yeah, so that's how we do our goals. So my specific goals, these are not all done yet in a smart kind of fashion. I've just written them down, but I like to ponder over my goals and kind of figure it out so that they actually work. And I guess the other influence that I should mention here as well is the book Die with Zero. When I read that book, it really helped me hone in on what I want to do at what period of my life. That was really the thing that gave us the final push for buying the batch, because it's like the time is now. The time for a batch ideally actually would have been when our kids were little, but we couldn't do it then. We didn't have the money. So doing it now means that, at least we've started. It's not too late. We are going to create some family memories here. And hopefully when we have grandkids, if we do have grandkids, we're going to be able to continue that on. So I feel like reading the book Die with Zero made me go, okay, what do I want to achieve now between 48 and 50? I'm now 49, but at the time when I wrote my goals, I was 48. And then what do I want to achieve from 50 to 55? And when would be the right time to do X, Y, and Z? That was also another way of honing in on what the goals are for now and what the goals are for the future, rather than just a big blanket, oh, these are all the things I'd like, or this is what I'd like my life to look like, that kind of thing. So for 2026, and in no particular order, just very generally, I want to say yes to social invites. I'd like to do a running race. I'd like to bike the ocean to Alps for my 50th birthday. I'd love to do a permaculture design course. And I'd like to investigate ways to make, I guess I've called it off-grid ways to make money instead of my current job, because when I reached my early retirement number, I would like to step away, I think, from my current role. I'm not 100% sure. It's a big, it's a big call. And yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I really want to investigate other ways to make a dollar so that I can feel confident that if it was needed, I could do it. If that makes sense. Just that little bit of security. And I have a lot of to-do list kind of things for around our property, around our batch, some of them just personal development kind of things. I haven't lumped them in with New Year's resolutions though, because it really is more like a list of do these things. But I do put them in my diary and assign months to them, so I can look at the month ahead and go, okay, this month I'm going to put some pathways in my food forest. By this month, I want to have the greenhouse up, that kind of stuff. It's not really, I guess it is specific and is measurable. Some of those things have been on my list for a number of years, and I just haven't been able to do them, mostly because it's cost a lot of money for some of them, and I've chosen to spend money on other things. But, that's all right, because different things come up during the year. So my die with zero list, is really, really, really laid out. So I've got 25, 26, then I've got 27 to 31, that kind of stuff. And that helps me look at it and not be overwhelmed with ideas, because it's like, actually, this is the time for doing these things. And when I'm 65, there's another set of things. Life is long, hopefully, all going well. There's a lot of things I'd like to experience in my life, but I don't have to experience them all right now. It's okay to save some things for the future. And that's something I can struggle with a wee bit, because I kind of want to do it all, and I want to do it all right now. But, that's not really realistic either, so they do have to be realistic as well as achievable. Based on budget, based on time, and based on other people's needs. I'm not the only person in my family, so I can't just say, oh yeah, I'm just going to go off and do X, Y, and Z all by myself. That's not going to work. So that's how we do it. I hope that's helpful for you. I hope you guys have a cracking start to the new year, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.